And what I want to start covering here, we'll entitle this, The Apostles Knew About and Understood the Prophecies of the Restoration. I want to show you Shaul saying it. I want to show you that Kepha or Peter understood it, that James understood it. I want to show you that the different apostles all understood and quoted things about the restoration of the two houses. He did this because of the works of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, not because of their works. So you're receiving favor because they merited the promise. So yes, there is favor here, and it is merited favor. But you're receiving it in an unmerited way because it's not about your works. That's what Deuteronomy is saying. It's the same thing. Deuteronomy is saying, look, don't think this is because of your righteousness, that somehow you earned something. You didn't earn anything. This is because the nations in there, I already promised I would kick them out, and because I made promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they merited that because of what they did. So am I attacking the Shulchan Aruch? No, I have incredibly high respect for that book and that writing. I'm just saying is that anything can become a snare if it becomes a basis beyond what the scriptures gives you. In other words, if you start holding out all of your authority in an extra biblical authority, like the Talmud or like the Kabbalah or like some writings of some of the early church fathers or like, just keep filling in the blank, or things like Enoch and Jubilees and Yasher, all these books that are not in your book. I'm not saying they're bad. None of them are bad per se. But keep them in right balance. Oh, they could become a snare. Just a thought that hit me when I hear, it's very interesting. He said, let their table become for a snare. By unbelief, they were broken off, so you stand by belief. Now realize that also means that if you turn into an unbelief, you're going to get broken off also. So don't think, what it says, that verse, don't be thinking how you stand lest you what? Fall. Be all full, hey, look at me, I'm standing, I'm strong, whoops, there you go. Okay? So much for that. Why would he keep saying, if you stay in me? There's no if. If you're saved, and it's a once saved, always saved. You're in, you're not. What do you call a person that doesn't stay? He goes, we call them a backslider. I said, and what if they die while they're still backsliding? Do they still get in? He goes, of course they do. I said, what's the point? Then what's the point? You know what? They don't realize how absurd, if they actually walk it all through, what they believe is. I'm not picking on them. I'm not trying to attack. I'm not mocking. I'm saying if you sometimes take what you were always taught and actually analyze it by application, you realize it makes no sense. There was a secret. There was something that people didn't fully understand, even though it was said over and over again. And by the way, you may say, well, it does say in the Old Testament plenty of times about the Gentiles and the nations and the Goyim. Look, just because it was said doesn't mean it was revealed. What do I mean by this? How many times did Yeshua tell his disciples, we're going to Jerusalem, they're going to arrest me, they're going to scourge me, they're going to kill me? Did they believe him? Was it revealed to them that really was going to happen? No, but he said it to them over and over and over, and still they just thought, yeah, went in one ear and out the other. They didn't process the reality. Well, guess what? Paul's trying to say, look, up until this point, people have not really processed the reality because it hadn't happened. Now it's happening. And so now we can actually connect it and say, look, this is it. The Gentiles are to become co-heirs. Oh, we got to get rid of that Greek mindset, a very linear mindset of like, it's just A, not A and B and C and D. There's many sides to this. Linear is A or B. It's either this or it's that. It's not both. He's saying, no, there's many sides to Elohim's wisdom. In his wisdom, he did the things he did with Israel and then with Judah and then with the northern kingdom of the 10 tribes. And all these things were part of his many-sided wisdom, all to bring about the promise he made to one man named Abram before he had his name changed to Abraham. All of what he is. He said, if you've put him on, if you put Messiah on you, and you've gone, some of you were just putting him on. Different phrase. Okay, you're just putting him on? You're just putting me on. No, you literally have to put him on. In other words, wear him. Step into his skin, so to speak. Be him. Think like him. Let this mind be in you. Otherwise, you're just putting him on instead of actually putting Messiah on you. to be a disciple, you've got to know the foundation, which is the scripture from Genesis to 2 Chronicles or Genesis to Malachi, depending on your translation. The Old Testament, the Tanakh. Because you would have to know when he says, well, it's been said of old. Well, where does it say that? His audience knew. Those who were sitting there with him in Jerusalem when he's saying this in Acts 15, they knew what he was quoting. They knew he was quoting Amos. Because all of them were looking forward to that time. And he's saying, that time is now. And you guys are trying to fight against it because you don't like it. Well, it was what was prophesied. Stop fighting it. So they're saying, are you going to at this time restore the kingdom to who? Israel. So where are the Gentiles in all this? There's no Gentile kingdom. There's no Gentile gate to get into the New Jerusalem. The Gentiles have to graft in. Once they're grafted in, though, they're no longer Gentiles. He's already made it clear through his other writings here, like through Paul and other people, that there's no class system. You're not any less if you started out Gentile than if you started out Israel. If anything, if you started out Israel and turned to become Gentile, then you're even less. The reverse, may apply, but not the other way around. Everybody that comes in is treated equally. Anybody that leaves, if you should have stayed and you should have known better, he's going to look at you a little tougher, saying, hey, you were born into this and you left. So this is important that we start and say, okay, so where am I in all of this? Look for yourself in this and to see, oh, this is who I'm supposed to be. Because then when people ask you, why are you keeping all that stuff? You say, because that stuff is for me. Okay? Oh, you don't need to do all that. Yes, I do. It was made for me. He gave that to me. It's my inheritance. It's my heritage so that I can be his inheritance. Because I grafted in. I've changed my citizenship. I'm Israel now. Well, the law was done away with. No. That's my inheritance. This is for me. He gave that to me. Because once I became Israel, that became something that was part of my inheritance. That was something I can partake of fully, knowing that it leads to the fulfillment of promises made to those who he gave it to originally.